You're listening to the Toolstation Western League podcast with Ian Knockholds and Tom Hiscott.
Welcome, listeners, to the first Toolstation Western League podcast of the new season. It is, of course, the 2019-20 season, and I am your host, Ian Knockholds. I'm really pleased to be back in the chair and joined, as always, on the phone by Tom Hiscott, of course, the author of the Toolstation Western League Bulletin. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, I've summered well, and looking well. Enjoyed getting back into the swing of things on the weekend. So yeah, glad to be back.
Excellent. Did you have a good pre-season?
Not too bad. Yeah, not plenty of cricket, which is obviously the best thing to do during the hot days and what have you. It's been quite a nice summer. Watched a bit of Love Island, and yeah, but that's now finished. Don't worry, we're all on the football grind again now.
No, well, I mean, you're very much on message, aren't you? Because of course, I know there's quite a few players I'm aware of who, in the Western League who like a bit of cricket and use that as their summer sport. I know that Morgan Skip at Radstock Town is a very accomplished cricketer, so that's very on point. And as of course is Love Island. It's the football fraternity's favourite programme, isn't it? Really, but we're not here to talk about Love Island. We are here. Not this week. We are here to talk about the fixtures on Saturday, August the 3rd. But we're going to get into our time machine and we're going to take you back a little bit earlier than that to kick things off because it was the Toolstation Charity Cup. And now this is a match that, it's a bit like the Charity Shield, isn't it? It's one of those ones that, of course, the fans and the clubs probably don't really see a great deal of point in, but it is the historic season curtain raiser. Where the two Toolstation leagues in the country come together to crown one champion. And, normally it's not the happiest of hunting grounds for the Western League, but that wasn't the case this season, was it, Tom?
No, we have a victorious team. Bitton. They beat Bridlington Town 3-2. They came from 2-0 down to do so. Pretty entertaining game at Fairfax Park by all accounts. I think Kerry Miller was there for the league, and he's written up a report which can be seen on the official website. Bridlington, a third place finish last year in the Northern Counties East League, so a fine team. They went 2 ahead, but Bitton managed to come back and claim the spoils, and a couple of goals. I think it was from Matt Groves, who was the star for them, and good to start the season off with a trophy.
Yeah, excellent result. And of course, hats off to Bitton, who are without their prolific goal scorer, the Golden Boot winner, of course, from last season, Ben Bammond. So they managed to achieve that fantastic result without him, which obviously augurs well for their season. But I'm sure we'll be touching on them in due course. Now, we will move on to the fixtures that took place on Saturday, the 3rd of August. And we kick off in the Premier Division. And Brislington. Now, there's been a great deal of talk on social media about how the various sides in both divisions, in fairness, will fare this season. And Brislington, sort of perennial bottom of the table fodder. Well, you wouldn't have known it on Saturday, would you, Tom?
No, indeed. I think I might have seen the same tweet as yourself. I think they were quite happy with their result on the weekend. I think potentially they were predicted to come bottom in some pre-season predictions, but they certainly started and as they mean to go on. A 2-1 victory at home to Bridgewater, obviously one of the stronger teams over the last couple of years, and a pretty comfortable win by the sounds of it. They made a brilliant start. Jaden Nilsson giving them a 5th-minute lead before Bridgewater did get back on level terms through Jamie Laird. But then Oakland Buck heading home at the end of the first half. And Bridlington held on in the second half to claim all 3 points and start their season in perfect fashion.
Yeah, Brislington, one of those sides, of course, for as long as we've been doing the podcast, very difficult side to beat. And, I do, in some of the interviews that I've done with managers over the years, I do like to use the analogy, if nobody wants to go to Brislington on a sort of, on a cold night in January. But, they did it on a warm day in August this time around. So just goes to show how difficult and how tricky they are. And in fairness, how competitive the Toolstation Western League can be. And if you needed an example of that, then our next fixture, it wouldn't be a better one, would it? Because Buckland Athletic Lebeq, we've expected big things from them in previous years, and I think this season's no different. I'd certainly thought that they were going to go well this season. Well, they came up against Westbury United, arguably the Leicester City of the Western League. Could they do it again after such a wonderful start last season? Well, they jolly well could.
No, absolutely. A 3-1 win away at Buckland, coming from behind to claim the 3 points in this one. Buckland going ahead, a volley finish from Connor Bryant in the 90th minute. I believe he used to be at Wellington, so that looks like a decent signing for them so far this season. He made a good start to life down at home at Heath, put them ahead. But then Jason Henley levelling things up on the half-hour mark as the sides went in level. And then it was Westbury who pushed on. Final 15 minutes, and they managed to bag 2 goals to claim the 3-1 win. The first coming from a long throw by Steve Holbert, which was knocked down and eventually fired home by Ricky Holbert, Steve's brother. And then it was Ricky again, a couple of minutes later, doubling his tally, and wrapped up all 3 points for Westbury, and a perfect start to the season for them. A 3-1 win away at Buckland.
Now, I think we'll all be keeping an eye on the new boys, certainly over the next couple of months, and to see how they get on. And, of course, Tavistock recorded a good win away at Clevedon Town. But our next feature game is Exmouth Town. New boys, of course, in the Premier Division. And, 202 saw this. So that's a bit of a statement of intent on how well supported that club's going to be. Yeah,
absolutely. It's good to see. That's what we want to see, obviously. I've now got quite a lot of Devonian sides in the league, as you've written about over the summer and what have you, and obviously lots going on at the back end of last year with realignment and whatnot. So if these teams can bring big crowds, that's what we want to see. And obviously, looks like Exmouth might be a team to be reckoned with this year. A 4-1 win to start their campaign at home to Bridport. 202 fans there, as you say. Bridport giving them a little helping hand, a couple of own goals towards Exmouth's tally, but there was also a double from Jordan Harris. Running out 4-1 winners at home to Bridport, the perfect start for Exmouth.
I did say we'd give Britain an honourable mention, and we probably better do. I'm going to spare Ray Johnson's blushes by going into too much detail here, but Britain, of course, last season they came third, only a couple of points behind the winners, Willand Rovers, and second place Plymouth Parkway. But they recorded a strong result away at a Hallen side. And forgetting my friendship with Ray, I thought Hallen were going to go well this season. They still might, but Britain winning there by 5-1, I think is a statement of intent. But our final feature game in the Premier Division is a real statement of intent. Plymouth Parkway, of course, last season's runners-up, last season's Les Phillips Cup final winners. They took on Cadbury Heath. 303 saw this game, and it was an emphatic win.
Absolutely. And the game was pretty much over after just 18 minutes. I mean, Parkway, they did shoot out the blocks. A statement of intent, as you say. This is quite a statement. A 7-1 win at home to Cadbury Heath. Adam Carter scoring 4 goals in the first half. So, not a bad start for him to start the campaign like that. And there was also goals from Tegan Rosenquist, one of my favourite names from the division. A brilliant free kick from Jack Calvert, and then Ryan Lane came on during the second half, and he completed the scoring pretty late on. A rampant opening day for Plymouth Parkway, and they put Cadbury Heath to the sword. 7-1 win, and as I say, the only way is up for Plymouth Parkway. It looks like they're destined for big things this year.
I was really keen to catch up with Plymouth Parkway's manager Lee Hobbs. Of course, Lee was on the podcast last season. Fantastic person to interview, and I really wanted to catch up with him. Of course, everybody wants to know what Lee's thinking about this season. We expect that they went so well, and the expectation is that they'll go well again, not least because of that result on August the 3rd. But I wanted to take Lee back to the Les Phillips Cup final, because I was ever so impressed with the performance of his side on that day. They are our reigning Les Phillips Cup winners, and I started off by congratulating him on that victory.
Yeah, we were very pleased. To be fair, obviously that for me that was no more than we deserved, really. Obviously to run Willand so close and then lose to Exeter City in the Devon Bowl, it was a big moment for the football, for myself, my players, and the football club, really. We were absolutely delighted to win it. Albeit as well against Willand.
Well, I mean, it was the manner of the performance as well that impressed me, because obviously, Willand were on a high because they just pipped you to the post to go up. but your boys clearly had a game plan. They stuck to it, and in large parts of that game, it felt like a chess match, and you must take a great deal of pleasure from the fact that obviously you came out on top.
Both football clubs, both managers and both teams, albeit they'd only played each other 2 times previous, they all know each other, and we know each other inside out. I'd watched Willen 2 or 3 times this year. I should no doubt had watched me 2 or 3 times this year, and fair play to us, I felt on the day, just like we did at home when we beat them 2-0. I felt we were better side, and obviously we've got our rewards with the 3 points and obviously the cup final win. But yeah, listen, they're two very, very good teams, and tactically both teams play a certain way, and I felt on the day it was which team would ever take their moments and take their chances and who would want it more, and then on the day for us, I felt that was us.
Now, when we look back on last season, we can't obviously help but reflect on the fact that you finished runners-up. Has that been a motivation for you in the pre-season? Have the boys wanted to go again this time round and make it one better?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, it hurt at the time, but as I said to BBC Radio Devon at the weekend, it needs to be forgotten now because it's gone. We're starting a new campaign where our objectives are exactly the same as what they were before. The players, it did hurt them. It hurt me. The players are at the football club, but at the end of the day, the table don't lie, and the best team will come first. So we will take that mentality, if you like, into this new campaign where we're not going in blind this year. We've visited all the grounds. We know what we're up against. We know what the demands are going to be to win week in, week out, and we're ready for it. We've recruited well over the summer in areas which I felt we were lacking, and I feel we've got a better squad and we're in a better place going into this new campaign than we were last season.
Well, we'll turn our attention to recruitment in a minute. But, I mean, are you happy with the way that pre-season has gone? It's a funny old time for any football club, particularly, I think, at this level of football, because, of course, you can't always guarantee the players' availability. But do you feel that you've had a good new season build-up?
We've had an excellent pre-season. The games have been competitive. That we've worked against harder opposition as the weeks have gone by. Obviously, the training in between the matches has been bang on. We did pick up a couple of injuries through pre-season, which everyone does, to be fair, no matter how much you've got to look after the players. The hard grounds and not doing nothing for 6 to 8 weeks, coming back, it always takes its toll, but we're in a clean bill of health now. Obviously, we played 7 games, we won 5 and lost to the 2 pro teams of Plymouth Parkway and Cardiff City, and our last pre-season game was against Manor Farm, which I wanted that game to be our measure of where we were, and we come through it and 1-2-1. So, yeah, for me, yeah, it's been a good pre-season here.
Now, you've just mentioned you wanted to freshen the squad up a little bit and strengthen. So, for the Plymouth Parkway fans out there listening, what new faces have you added to the team that they should be looking out for this season?
We've added 6 or 7 new players. We've added Billy Pulfrey and Jordan Kopp from Truro City. Antonio Costa is a trialist to come over from Italy, who has done very, very well for us pre-season and has been rewarded with a registration, and hopefully he plays a big part for us. We took a couple of lads from St Austell, Will Tinsley and Jack Culver, who equally, they've come in and hit the ground running, and it's like they've been here for a couple of years. And the one is a young striker called Curtis Dammer, who is a fantastic prospect, and I have high up for. So there's 7 come in, and I think 4 or 5's gone out. But more importantly for me, we didn't need wholesale changes. We just needed to address certain areas where we felt, not that we were weak, but where we needed a little bit more. And that's exactly what we've done. We haven't just signed any Tom, Dick and Harry. We've signed players that we needed for specific positions. And I'm happy. I'm really, really pleased.
Well, let's talk about opening day in the Western League. And on Saturday, you entertained Cadbury Heath. And that was an emphatic victory for you.
Yeah, obviously 7-1. It didn't flatter us, with all due respect to Cadbury Heath and Andy Black. It could have been 10 or 12. But for was some good goalkeeping on their part and a little bit of wasteful finishing by us. It wasn't. If you'd have offered me 7-1, 3 points, the only thing we were missing was the clean sheet. But absolutely delighted. It's a bit contrast to 12 months ago when we struggled to get the win and result down at home in a 2-1 win. We're a totally different outfit 12 months on, and I'm just hopeful that we can have equally as good a season as last year, but obviously still one better.
What caught my eye from the weekend wasn't just the scoreline, but it was the attendance. Over 300 fans watched your game against Cadbury Heath. That says an awful lot about your football club.
It does. Obviously, we're a forward-thinking club where we're attractive at this moment in time. Obviously, when Plymouth are away, we do tap into a core of their supporters at the same time. Obviously, when Plymouth came to our first pre-season friendly, there was 2,500 on the gate. So they went away liking what they've seen. Obviously, the hospitality was good, and hopefully, over the course of the next 10 months, a majority of them will still come back when I was away. And obviously, 303, I think there was only one, obviously, barring big games, I think there's only one team over the years who's recorded those numbers, and that was Melksham when they were in the league. But we're hopeful of getting that there most weeks. Obviously, we won't get it every week because Argo will be at home and other leagues will be playing, and the floaters will be in town with their wives or girlfriends or whatever, no doubt, doing shopping. But yeah, we're well supported home and away, and for us as players, as a football club, it helps us massively.
So the support's there, the squad is there, and you've already alluded to the fact that, as far as you're concerned, your expectations for this season are to go one better than you did last season.
We have to. Like I say, this isn't our virgin year within the division now. We know what we're up against. We know where we're going. We know what we're getting. We know what we got to do. So it's not brand new no more. We're not the virgins of the league, and it's exactly that, Ian. We've got to go one better, and hopefully secure Southern League status that this time next year.
Now, August is going to be a very interesting month for you, isn't it? You've got Buckland coming up in the FA Cup, followed by Bridport in the league away, which is never easy, and then Exmouth, and then followed up by Bridgewater. So, it's going to be one hell of an opening month for you, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. But obviously, if we do well in the FA Cup and we beat Buckland on Friday, then the Bridgewater game will go, because then we'll play Polchon. So that there will have to be penciled in at some point, no doubt on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. But listen, I'd rather have the hard games and get them out of the way. Your first 10 games and your last 10 games are critical points within your season, and the middle 20 games, everybody pretty much take care of themselves where teams got points. Obviously, the winter months, availability, suspensions, injuries, it all takes its toll. But for me, getting off to a flyer and trying to accumulate as many points as you can within that first 10 games, just like Willand did last year, is very critical for any team hoping with aspirations of winning leagues.
Lee, thank you very much for your time this evening. Not least for the fact that you've taken time out for us during training, which I really do appreciate. I'm going to let you get back to what you're supposed to be doing, but I really do appreciate...
balls pinged at me in a minute, no doubt, for being on the phone. But
well, there was that.
Is what it is, yeah.
There was that. We'll have to be careful who pings them in, though, won't we, Lee? Because there was that very famous moment where Harry Redknapp got hit by a ball.
Whoever it is, he won't be playing Friday night.
Well, very much so. Anyway, it's been great to speak to you again. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to the podcast, and all the best of luck for this coming season.
Another job, another saving. Brought to you by Toolstation.
Is this all the receipts?
Yes, boss.
For everything we got from Toolstation?
Yeah, why?
I just thought we'd spend a lot more than this.
Oh, no. We got all the best brands too. Makita, Santex, Karcher, Nest.
Top job, top saving.
With over 15,000 trade quality products at prices that are hard to beat, we're here to save you on every job. At toolstation.com and all 340 branches.
Now we will move into the First Division, and we're going to start our coverage here with another new boy to the Toolstation Western League. The home side was Bishop Sutton. The visitors were Lebeq United, and it was the visitors that took all 3 points from this one.
They did. An excellent start for them, and coming from behind to do so. It was a goalless first half down there at Bishop Sutton. the home side then going ahead in the early stage of the second half. Pretty tough team to beat last year. There was quite a low number of goals in their fixtures generally, but Lebeq managed to turn it around, and Sharp occurred, scored twice, 2 excellent finishes from him. And there was also a goal from Rick Davis. So a come from behind victory and the perfect start for Lebeq.
We do love a new side on the Toolstation Western League podcast, and of course I thought this was a great opportunity for us to get to know Lebeq. So I got in touch with their manager, Aaron Wilson, and I started our interview by congratulating him on his side's win.
Yeah, I was over the moon. The boys done really well. We went behind, which is always a challenge for us when we go behind or go a couple of goals down or something. So that was probably the most pleasing part about the whole thing, was not just we played well, but the character to come from a goal down, especially our first game in that level. So boys could have got a bit nervous and let it get to them, but they responded fantastic. And that was probably the most pleasing thing from the whole performance, was the response to going behind.
Now, most of our listeners, of course, won't be that familiar with Lebeq. You are a new team into the First Division. What can you tell us about your club?
Oh, well, Lebeq's been an established football club for a long time now. It was predominantly based on a Sunday morning football team, which is how I first started playing for Lebeq. I played for Lebeq for over 15 years. And also played with some of the players that are still in the squad now. So Twain Plummer, Aaron Cornwall. I have Leon Simpson as my assistant, and he's been a big part of Lebeq for a long time. It's a very well established club. It's got a lot of support behind the scenes, and it's been a well established club for a long time. And Owen Smith and Errol Thompson have had a big part in making the club what it is, and it's very well known in Bristol, more so for Sunday morning football, but in the last couple of years they decided to start a Saturday team, which is something we looked to do a few years ago, but we couldn't quite get the facilities and the grounds and stuff like that, because we had a very strong Sunday morning team, and that maintained and that continued over the years, and we decided to take it forward into a Saturday team. And in the couple of seasons, in a few seasons that they have been running the Saturday team now, they've progressed every season and done better and better each year, so it's hoping to continue that way. But it's a great club. It's a very community-based club as well. We get a lot of youngsters coming through, trying to push through next generation of footballers, and working on that stuff. So it's a very, very, very good club, a very well-loved club, a very highly thought-of club in amongst the football scene as well. I was at Bishop Sutton on Saturday, and they asked to send their regards to Owen Smith, who's, like I said, he's the main man who's the man who's put it all together and started the club from scratch. So it's still nice that he gets his recognition wherever we go on Saturday football as well, not just Sundays.
I mean, that's excellent to talk about that journey, that evolution of the club, and of course now you've come into Western League football. But am I right in thinking that you already have a background? You're already aware of what you're up against in the Western League?
I first started playing in the Western League when I was 18 under Steve Fay for Manor Farm. And I learnt my trade the hard way, really, with a lot of old school people that, were big on the basics of football, which is, attitude and, motivation and those kind of things. And the basics of football is what I'm trying to install now into sort of the newer generation. I've got a pretty good idea about the league. I've played in it numerous times. I've not actually ever played in the Division 1. I played in County League when I was younger, then I skipped straight to Western Premier League and then played for a few teams. I've played for a couple of teams in that league as well. So relatively familiar with that kind of level and Bristol football in general. So, I got a good idea. Some of the teams are pretty new to me. Not really played at sort of Cheddar, and a couple of other places have not really been around. But, so I'm looking forward to that challenge in the sense of new teams and new prospects and stuff like that. So, I got a little bit of know-how, but still learning myself. I'm still very new to management. This is my first proper management role.
So moving on to your pre-season then, are you happy with how it's gone?
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone better as regards to sort of fitness and numbers, training and stuff like that. But the team and squad I'm working with is I'm just trying to work on some habits and a couple of bad habits just with timekeeping and certain other things that are just, to be honest with you, Ian, they've always been sort of an issue within Lebeq. Even when I was playing, sort of certain things are always kind of let us down as such, and that's kind of attitude and timekeeping and those kind of things. So that's what I've been trying to install as much as I can in pre-season. Is you could have all the quality and everything else in the world, but if you haven't got desire and like your attitude's not right to work hard and you're not going to play for the team and stuff like that, it doesn't really matter. So it's been about installing that really, because we've got a lot of quality players that are probably a little too good for the level that they are playing at, but there's a reason why they're playing at that level. So those are the kind of things that I'm trying to install and trying to work on, and pre-season was really good for that. Really good for that, and the boys have responded really well. Trying to play a slightly new way of football. Learned a lot from my old gaffer, Danny Greaves. So just trying to install certain types of football. And it seems to be going well. The boys are responding well to it, and they'd rather play football the nicer way where we can, but they also, it's just trying to install, like I said, that we can play as much nice football as we want, but we still have to win our tackles, win our second balls, and earn the right to play first and foremost. So it's just about, pre-season was about installing that, and we're very much getting there. So it's a continued process, but I'm very happy with how it's gone so far. Yeah, very happy.
I imagine that there'll be plenty of managers who are listening to this interview who will be nodding in agreement with you at the moment. I mean, for you, is pre-season, we talk a lot in these interviews about the challenge of getting a settled squad to keep turning up every week, even in the Western League Premier Division.
Yeah.
I mean, is that made infinitely harder for you in pre-season? Do you think if you're struggling to get a player to sort of take the league seriously, then pre-season is even harder?
Yeah, I would agree with that. To be honest, almost sort of like lackluster attitude, as in it's just pre-season and then people feel they can just switch it on when they want to, but football doesn't work like that. So, yeah, I do agree with that. To be honest, I had a couple that came and went, but everyone has to buy into an old Steve Fay classic, as everyone has to sing from the same hymn sheet, And it's like if they're not prepared to buy into a squad mentality, then they're not in the right place, because you need a squad of 16, 17 to do anything in any kind of league. It's not just about your first 11. So I've had to try and install that as well into the boys, that, you could be playing well, you could play well on this Saturday, but if we've got a certain type of game on the Tuesday, different pitch, different conditions, different players, then there's a likelihood that I might be changing a couple of players based on who we're playing. So yeah, installing that kind of squad mentality. But pre-season's always an interesting one because of, people are sort of still half in holiday mode. So, it takes time, but we got there in the end.
Now, here's a question that I'm sure your fans will be interested in hearing. In terms of, you've obviously talked about the evolution of the club and the players that you've got experience from your playing days who are still in the team. But have you brought in any new faces this season? Are there going to be any players that the fans are going to get a chance to see for the first time this season in a Lebeq shirt?
Yeah, so we there's a couple actually. There's a few, not too many, because the basis of what was there last season was still enough to work with. But yeah, there's been a few. Just recently signed an old Lebeq player of ours called Remy. So he sort of just recently signed as goalkeeper. We signed a very good goalkeeper from Gala Wilton last season. So when Lebeq were playing Gala Wilton last season, I was up watching, as I often did, just watching a home game. And yeah, the keeper was unbelievable. He's one of the best keepers I've seen for a long time at this kind of level. So we spoke to him after, and he was very keen to get on board. Obviously, with Lebeq getting promoted from the league that he was in, he was very keen to get on board. And since he's come, he's absolutely loved it, and he's thriving. He's actually on holiday now because players pick holiday time so right when the season starts. So he's currently away at the moment, and our reserve keeper Tyler he was incredible Saturday, probably our man of the match. So to have healthy competition for your goalkeepers is always a positive thing as well. So, and that's something we've been trying to install throughout, is healthy competition for each place, so complacency doesn't creep in at any point and people feel they're turning up and they know they're playing. So we tried to keep a healthy squad and keep some competition, and there's people on the bench Saturday that are in full contention to play this Saturday, and that's how we want to keep people on their toes and keep people working hard. And once you've got the shirt, you've got to work hard to keep hold of it. So, yeah, a couple of new signings, but not really. The main one, like I said, was the goalkeeper, and maybe one or two that have rejoined that have been Lebeq players in the past. I think Remy was at Southmead last year. So, yeah, we lost one or two as well. I think Edward Pumper went to Hallen. Yeah, so in general, there wasn't a big turnaround of players and stuff. But like I said, the players that were there they've already got enough quality for this league and the one above, in my opinion. So, yeah, there was enough there to work with. It was just, the quality was there. It was just the attitude and the kind of the habits that needed changing more so than the players.
The $1 million question has got to be, what are your expectations for this season?
Well, from what I've read a couple of things and heard a couple of things, and I think there's quite a bit of there's no expectation on our shoulders, but I think people are kind of half predicting us to do well this season, and we had some really good feedback at Bishop Sutton on Saturday. So I think the expectations are high, and when you play for Lebeq, your expectations are always high. When you play for Lebeq, and I played for them for 15 years, and we were the most dominant force on a Sunday morning in particular, and we always got used to winning, and winning is very much a mindset and a habit when you play for Lebeq, and we don't like losing, and we never like to lose. But we've obviously stepped up this season, and we have to understand and we have to expect that we're playing against better teams, more organised, better structure of teams and stuff like that. So our expectations are not as high as everyone else's. I'd imagine within our dressing room we try and stay quite grounded, but we know we've got enough quality to do something in this league. So for me personally, I'd be happy with a top 10 finish. It's our first season at this level. Quite a few young players and still gelling. So all in all, I'd be very happy with a top 10 finish. Do I believe we could do better? I really feel we could finish higher than that, quite a bit higher than that. But I also know the league, and I also know if you don't do things properly that we could finish lower than that. And it's a very thin line. And like I said, for me, that is habits and attitude. So if we get those right and we continue to build on those the way we have done, then I believe we can really do something in this league. So, yeah, I'd be very happy with a top 10 finish and then try and push on again next season.
August is going to be a very interesting month for you, isn't it? Because you've got three of the promotion favourites coming up in your next three games, Caen, Warminster and Cheddar. That's going to be a real test for you.
Oh, wow. I'm a bit of a funny one, really. I don't really look at fixtures coming up ahead. I know the next game and who we got to look at and what we got to research, but I don't tend to look too far past just the next game. But that's interesting to know, and I'm also missing a few games because I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. So
well, congratulations.
That's not an ideal time to be playing the promotion favourites, but hey, we've got to play them at some point, so we'll see, and it'll be a good like test for our boys just to see if they're the promotion kind of favourites, where we're at in a level of how far we've come and how far we've got to go if we want to start thinking about those same goals as promotion and stuff.
And my thanks to Aaron for his time. Now, moving on to Cheddar. Of course, Cheddar were in all of our thoughts over the close season. We wondered whether or not they would be able to get promoted into the Premier Division. They finished, of course, runners-up to Keynsham, and don't think that there was many people that would have denied them that promotion in the league. But unfortunately, they did fall foul of the Football Association's National League rules, and as a result of that, on the basis of the points per game that they accumulated last season, they remain a First Division side. Well, we hope for their sake that they will go well again this season and finally take the place that they deserve amongst our elite. They wanted to get off to a good start. They were taking on, dare I say it, an unfashionable Devizes Town side, but the visitors ran them close, didn't they, Tom?
They did. Really, yeah, an entertaining fixture. 5 goals between them, and it was, pretty topsy-turvy affair. Devizes going ahead. Joe Broadbank scoring the opener before Adam Wright got the first of his goals for the afternoon, converting a spot kick midway through the first half of the game to make it 1-1. And then 3 minutes after the interval, so just as the sides got ready to entertain in the second half, Wright had another chance from the spot and managed to score again. So, putting them 2-1 up. And then obviously we know this chap, knows where the back of the net is. Really prolific season last year, and he started with a hat-trick in this campaign as well. So a 3-1 lead for Cheddar. Devizes did get a penalty of their own pretty late on, which they converted, but they were unable to grab a share of the spoils, and it was Cheddar who eventually ran out to 3-2 victors.
Now, moving on to another side that is fancied to do well in the First Division, certainly one of those teams that I think will be challenging not just for promotion but for the title, Corsham Town. They were at home to Portishead Town. A very healthy crowd of 109 saw this one. Tom, how did the home side get on?
They started with 3 points. Good start for Corsham. Josh Bright slotting the home side ahead in the 20th minute. And then a goal, potentially a goal of the season candidate from the word go. Lewis McCarran. I think it is on social media. I think I've seen the video. Arrows the ball into the top corner from, I don't know, 35-40 yards. Portishead keeper absolutely no chance, and gives Corsham a 2-goal lead. The visitors did manage to get a lifeline just before half time, but there were no goals after the break, and it was Corsham, as we say, run out 2-1 winners, and start with 3 points, and Lewis McCarran definitely the star of the week.
Now, finally, in our roundup of the matches in the First Division on Saturday, we take a look at Hengrove and their game against Bishop's Lydeard. Now, Hengrove, of course, last season were a Premier Division side. It's always interesting to see how they will adjust to life in the First Division. I would have had them as one of my pre-season favourites to retain their position in the top flight, because I know that is an exceptionally well-run club. But Bishop's Lydeard had other ideas, didn't they, Tom?
Not half. Lydeard, second half of last year, they were capable of this, putting big tallies together, goal scoring tallies, and they did so to start the season. A 7-0 win away at Hengrove, as you say. Relegated last year, potentially. Might take a little bit of time for them to readjust. And if this is anything to go by, then Lydeard certainly a team to watch this year. They were among the highest scorers last year, as I say. So not too surprising, but a 7-0 triumph to open the campaign definitely was. George Painter heading them ahead after just 10 minutes, and then it was Ben Hebditch who took over, scoring either side the interval to make it 3-0 before Charlie Wilson made it 4, and pretty much ended the contest at the hour mark. The away side, very much on top, and they ran away with it in the final half an hour. Didn't let up at all. 3 further goals from Will Hazeldean, Ryan Brereton, and then with the final kick of the game, it was Hebditch completing his hat tricks. I think that was four hat tricks in the 2 divisions this weekend to start the season, and that was how the game finished. So a 7-0 triumph for Bishop's Lydeard.
Before we move on, I'm going to give a notable mention to Warminster against Welton Rovers. The biggest attendance in the First Division, and I'm sure that helped in no small part by the efforts of Roland Millward, who again won one of his fantastic social media campaigns to try and get 300 fans, it was this time, to come to Warminster's opener. Well, they didn't manage that by some distance, it would be fair to say. 174 saw this one, and probably the home fan, without question, the home fans went home unhappy because Welton Rovers secured all 3 points. I expect Warminster to go well this season. They've made some really good close season signings, not least the very interesting acquisition of Kieran Baggs, the former Melksham Town manager, who of course took Melksham Town into the Southern League. So if ever you wanted a midfield general, I don't suppose you could get a much better one than that. Anyway, it was Welton Rovers who won on Saturday by 1-0. So well done to them and the Travelling Army, and I'm sure that was a good time had by all. We of course do have some midweek fixtures coming up in the Premier Division, but I suppose the most eye-catching game really will be the FA Cup extra preliminary round fixture between Plymouth Parkway and Buckland Athletic on Friday the 9th of August. That is a 7:45 kickoff. Buckland, I'm sure, will be looking to make amends to their sluggish start to the league season, and they couldn't really ask for a harder trip away to Plymouth Parkway, but both sides capable of racking up a few wins in that competition. So it'll be interesting to see who does go through. And indeed, on Saturday, the 10th of August, we have more FA Cup action for you. Talking about teams looking to make amends, Bridgewater Town and Hallen, they meet in that competition. There are a lot of all Toolstation Western League sides coming together this time round, and Bridgewater against Hallen, I'm sure will be a very competitive fixture. Both sides looking to record their first win of the season. Cheddar, you may remember, of course, I laboured the point rather about how as runners up in the First Division, we should really be seeing them as a Premier Division side. Well, they've got they've got a chance to let us know how they'd be getting on this season if they were, because they take on Bradford Town. No easy trip for Bradford, I'm sure, but as the Premier Division side, you've got to say that they are the favourites in that one. And then Westbury travel to Fareham Town, and be interested. It's always interesting, of course, to see how Western League sides get on against opposition from other leagues. But Fareham, I know that won't have escaped Neil Kirkpatrick, the joint manager of Westbury, because of course Fareham are very close to his beloved Portsmouth. So anyway, that'd be an interesting one as well. But Tom, you've kept your eye on matters of the Toolstation Western League, and we've got a pretty full complement of games in the First Division. Which one has caught your eye?
It's a local derby. Great way to start the season. Brilliant to have this in August. I think we should get a good crowd along there. It's Devizes Town hosting Warminster. Obviously, both sides looking for 3 points to start the season and looking for some bragging rights. So, interested to see how that one goes this weekend. Yes,
well, with a bit of luck at a following win, I should be there myself. So I should be able to let you know next week. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, before we get too carried away with next week's podcast, normally, of course, in the podcast, this is the time when we start looking at the league tables and the goal scorers. But I'm not going to let you do that just now because it's too early. Although, in fairness to you, 4 hat tricks, I think you said we've had.
I think so. Yeah, I could be wrong. Definitely a minimum of 4. It might have been 5 if one passed across my mind. But yeah, I think there was 4. I think.
Well, plenty of value for money to be had at the turnstiles in the Western League this season. But I think we probably will leave it a couple of episodes before we start reflecting on those type of statistics. What we won't do, though, is we won't stop telling people about your wonderful bulletin, which, of course, we've been reviewing today. Where can the listeners find that?
That is back. It's on the Toolstation, the Western League. It's on the website. There's a tab along the top which takes you to the most recent download, which will be every weekend, of course. And then it's also, if you go about halfway down the page, it's in the middle. An issue 1 is available to download now on the website, so you can follow the link and it gives you a PDF copy, or you can go in and download a Word copy of your own. So yeah, that'll be every Sunday, looking back on the games that have happened over the week and looking ahead as well. So yeah, that's back up and running.
Well then, Tom, thank you very much for your assistance again, and great to get back in touch with you. And I look forward to catching up with you on next week's Toolstation Western League podcast.